President Donald Trump has proposed a skinny budget that includes cutting federal government rent assistance by 40%, essentially ending the Section 8 voucher program. Trump proposes sending that money to individual states that can then design their own rental assistance programs based on their unique needs and preferences. In its request, the White House called the current system of federal rental assistance dysfunctional. The proposal would also impose a 2-year cap on rental assistance for able-bodied adults, sending a bigger share of the money to the elderly and disabled. In addition, the budget includes $25 million in housing grants for young people aging out of foster care. HUD Secretary Scott Turner said that the rental assistance programs have become, quote, too bloated and bureaucratic to efficiently function, and praised the restructuring of the aid program.
Mr. Secretary, you co-wrote a New York Times op-ed along with RFK Jr., Brooke Rollins, Dr. Oz. You suggested that there should be new qualifications to receive the welfare benefits. You write, able-bodied adults receiving benefits must work, participate in job training, or volunteer in their communities at least 20 hours a week. So tell us about that. Is that a way to significantly cut back? How can the administration enforce those policies to reshape the welfare system?
Well, Maria, I think it's a paradigm shift. You know as well as I do, work restores dignity. Yeah. Work brings pride. You know, and our welfare system deviated from what it was intended to be from its origin. It was intended for the most vulnerable, to the most needy in our country. But now we've created welfare as a lifestyle in our country. And you know, America is not a welfare state. America is a country of opportunity and a country of entrepreneurship. And so this will help us to encourage able-bodied people in America that are receiving government subsidies to work. You know, there was a study that came out, almost 50% of households that are receiving HUD funds, almost 50%, not one person in that household is working. And that has to change. That culture, that paradigm has to change. At HUD, this is common sense compassion. We want to help people and invigorate and encourage people to work, able-bodied people to work. We're not talking about the elderly. We're not talking about those that are disabled. Able-bodied, able-minded people that are receiving HUD funding should go to work to restore dignity, Maria. Maria, you get up early in the morning and you work, you serve. And so we want to give other people and encourage others the same opportunity.
What is Trump doing? He's cutting Section 8 so that more money can go towards helping people who actually need housing assistance, elderly people, people in foster care, people with disabilities. He's really only cutting it for healthy, able-bodied adults who are receiving Section 8. I got friends, I got family members who are totally healthy, and they are receiving Section 8. Young folks, I got family members who've been on Section 8 since they was 20. They could jump on a dick, but can't go jump on a job in a job application. They in the club twerking and shaking and flirting and farting. And guess what? But you tell them, hey, you go get your job. No, I can't. I just get so nervous at a job interview. Girl, you was just on the pole last night. Pause. You was literally twerking on the damn stage while people was throwing money at you, and you ain't even no scripper. You on TikTok doing every dance. But you too nervous to sit down in front of somebody and tell them why they should give you a job. It's cap. Do you realize that right now there are so many ridiculous, over-bloated, nonsensical Section 8 and housing assistance programs? They got this thing where if your parent was on Section 8 and they die, they can literally pass that Section 8 to one of their no-good-ass kids. So imagine, I'm on Section 8 and I'm a loser, right? I drop dead, right? I'm dying. I'm dead. Section 8, just so they could keep all the money that they're stealing from the government, they will pass that Section 8 voucher that I'm on, they will pass that to one of my children. Don't matter if the children are healthy. Don't matter if the children are capable of working. They'll just say, oh, you dead? Give it to the next person in line. What? I know people who have been on Section 8 since they were in their 20s. They've been on Section 8 since they were in their 20s. They 40 now. Do you believe that that's what Section 8 was intended for? For able-bodied people to go from 20 to 40 years old still paying $200 a month for rent? Hell, I know people paying $13 a month for rent. It's waste. It's fraud. It is abuse, no matter how you try to paint it. And the worst part is it is enabling. It keeps people from living up to their true potential. Because I don't know if you know this, but Section 8 is based on income. So if you make over a certain amount of money, they reduce the amount of assistance the government gives you with your rent, for your rent. And if you make too much money, the government will cut assistance from you altogether. So what it does is it incentivizes people to stay in the lowest earning bracket so that they can keep their free rent. They're basically free housing. It's abuse. Bro, I know a girl right now, $13 a month for rent. $13 a month for rent. I'm not even joking with you. $13 damn dollars a month for rent. Totally able-bodied. You know what she do? She works a security job under the table. Don't get no W-2 or nothing. I know people on Section 8 rolling around in Teslas right now. Tell me I'm lying. There are people on Section 8 rolling around in Teslas right now. You ever see that one Pukisha or that Puquan? You ever see one of these dudes and you like, bro, ain't even got no damn job. How bro be getting all these nice cars and all this stuff? And bro got a nice place to live. Bro on Section 8. Either him or his baby mama. This is what they do. Because as long as you're not reporting earnings of over a certain amount, they will continue to allow you to keep Section 8. They will continue to allow you to stay on Section 8. It's abuse. This person could be working and paying their own bills, and someone who needs it could be getting it. Do you know how many people can't get what they need because there's some loser taking up space on it who doesn't need it? This is how this stuff works. And they feel emboldened. They feel emboldened in their damn thievery.
So listen,
they feel emboldened in their thievery. They feel like they deserve this. I deserve to get free rent while everyone else is working, and people who need free rent, disabled people and stuff, can't get what they need. This is a system of generational entitlement. And black folks, we know white folks are the ones who receive it the most. We know that. But black folks, they are the most, what would I say? We are the most, we have the most audacity, maybe audacious, I think is the word. We are the absolute most ridiculous when it comes to this.
Welcome back,
because we love to show everybody what we got. A lot of other cultures, they don't really show off what they got. They'll have it. They know they got it. You'll never know. Black folks got to wear it on their wrist. They got to go get the new Mercedes S-Class. They got to go get the Rolex chain, the $900 weave and the red bottoms. Whole time this hoe going back home to a Section 8 apartment. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, because you know why? Carte blanche? Because they're going to have to start lowering their damn rent. B, landlords who rent based on Section 8 are going to flip out. Yeah, because they're going to have to lower the damn rent. You guys don't know this, but Section 8 also is directly responsible for these high-ass rent prices because the government will pay way more than you got for that same apartment. So why would the landlord take your money when they could get a guaranteed government money and it's way more than what you're going to pay? They're going to raise the rent up to get as much as they can from the government. This is a beautiful thing, bruh. Let me play this.
Welcome back. Congress hammering out key provisions of President Trump's big, beautiful bill, some of which could result in funding cuts to welfare programs. The president requesting certain cuts from the Housing and Urban Development Department, including more than $26 billion in state rental and grants and over $700 million in other assistance programs. Joining me now is Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for being here. What are you expecting in terms of these welfare cuts, and where do you expect the biggest cuts to be made?
Well, good morning, Maria. Thank you for having me. It's great to see you again. You know, the president, my colleagues from the Senate and the House, this administration, we're all taking inventory and getting our fiscal house in order. As you know, the previous 4 years before we came, there were no checks and no balances, no transparency, and a lack of good stewardship in America's budget and America's fiscal house. And so, along with my colleagues on the Hill, we here at HUD are taking inventory of every program so that we could be sufficient and effective in serving the American people. This is the first step when you talk about the skinny budget. It's the first step of many in this process. Our job here at HUD is to maximize the budget that we do have and make sure that we're serving America's people in the critical programs that we have.
So do you expect cuts to those welfare programs, and how significant will the cuts be? Where specifically are you expecting the cuts, sir?
You know, I think not so much cuts only, Maria, but also how we administer the programs. One thing at HUD, we're very mission minded, and we understand, you know, our call here to serve the American people. We'll see when the budget comes out what we have to work with. Our job is to maximize this budget and to make sure that we're serving America's most vulnerable people as it pertains to housing and homelessness and disaster recovery.
Mr. Secretary, you co-wrote a New York Times op-ed along with RFK Jr., Brooke Rollins, Dr. Oz. You suggested that there should be new qualifications to receive the welfare benefits. You write, able-bodied adults receiving benefits must work, participate in job training, or volunteer in their communities at least 20 hours a week. So tell us about that. Is that a way to significantly cut back? How can the administration enforce those policies to reshape the welfare system?
Well, Maria, I think it's a paradigm shift. You know as well as I do, work restores dignity. Yeah. Work brings pride. You know, and our welfare system deviated from what it was intended to be from its origin. It was intended for the most vulnerable, to the most needy in our country. But now we've created welfare as a lifestyle in our country. And, you know, America is not a welfare state. America is a country of opportunity and a country of entrepreneurship. And so this will help us to encourage able-bodied people in America that are receiving government subsidies to work. You know, there was a study that came out.
I love Scott Turner, man. This guy's a very honest man. He's a respectable man, and he's about business. This man, literally, you know, he made so much sense. He said, "This is not a welfare state. This is not a welfare state." I want to listen to that little clip one more time.
From its origin, it was intended for the most vulnerable, to the most needy in our country. But now we've created welfare as a lifestyle in our country. And, you know, America is not a welfare state.
We've made welfare a lifestyle. We've literally made trying to get as much as you can from the government without working a job into a lifestyle. People be bragging. I got my Section 8. Only Libra. I see you saying I was with Housing Authority when I was younger and took myself off. They choose where you live. I refuse. I don't know where you live, but hey, if you live in California, they literally give you a voucher. They give you a voucher. And when you get this voucher, right, you can go pick anywhere you want to live. There are people living on Ocean. Ocean is like downtown in Long Beach. Those apartments for a 1-bedroom, it's about $4,000 a month. I kid you not. 2-bedroom is like $6,000, all the way up to $10,000. There are people on low income housing, Section 8, living in those buildings. When I used to deliver like Instacart and stuff, I would be like, who the hell is ordering hot sauce and hot sauce and grits at 3:00 in the morning? Who lives on Ocean? Go up in that building. Bonquisha right up in there. Apartment smelling like dog doo-doo. She's in a freaking high-rise apartment on Ocean. Listen, you see them because when they come out the apartment, they stick out like a sore thumb. Yes. When they come out the apartment building, with their kids, with the snot noses and shit, they stick out like a sore thumb because the people who live down there are like entrepreneurs, people in tech, young people who work, make good money. They're usually like single. They don't have kids. So when you see this chick rolling out in a bonnet with like 4 kids, stomach hanging out, and she walking around in like in those little 99-cent store flip-flops with some sweats on and stains on her shirt, no bra, you know who you're dealing with. I'm just telling you, they're down there. They're living like kings and queens while you're working like a sucker for everything you got. Hey. Hello? Hey, have you are there people on like housing in Section 8 and shit living in those high-rise apartments downtown Long Beach? Those like expensive apartments?
I don't know. They claim no, but you was the one that told me that they have to make like a few units available for people.
Yeah, I know they got the law where they have to make a certain percentage of the units low income. But you ain't ever went down there and delivered to nobody and you like, what is this ghetto ass motherfucker doing down here?
All the time, right on Pacific and Ocean. There's so many ghetto folks in there. I'm like, how the hell they can afford? No, it's more. I'm like, how the hell can they afford to live up in here?
Man, I'm telling you, Bonquisha and her kids.
People, they got all their teeth like missing out of their mouth.
Hey, apartments that are like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, right or wrong? Hello? All right, I'm gonna call you back. But look, I'm telling you, my friend does like deliveries. She's literally like, how the hell are these basically dope fiends living down here in these apartments? I kid you not. They are down there. And you thinking, man, maybe if I could pinch my pennies together, budget a little better, maybe I could move down there. They down there. And guess what? They tear this shit up. They tear it up. They don't start behaving themselves. They don't say, oh, let me have some class and some dignity. Hell no. They tear that shit up, just like they do the projects. And they've made every apartment, every new building built, dedicate a certain percentage of their building to low-income people. So over here, you can live in the luxury shit for the low. CLR, yeah, every building had to set aside so many units to sell or rent at below market rate, right, at BMR. But my thing is this, there's no oversight over who gets to move in. Why don't you make them below market rate for people working with families who want to move from the hood into a nice area, who will appreciate it? 100% strength. Strength is talking about, he said, I'm Steph Curry about mine. They tried to build some bullshit like that in the neighborhood where Steph Curry, the point guard for the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry said, hell no. He said, hell no. Them folks was like, y'all not building that bullshit by our houses. We paying multi-millions of dollars to live over here, and y'all about to bring Pookie and Ray Ray over here? Hell to the no. As he should. But in the inner city, they don't give a damn how much your property value is going to drop. They are going to force Bonquisha onto you. They're going to force her onto you and her boyfriend, Glocktavius. I kid you not. And there's nothing you could do about it because these people do this crap in the name. Oh, we helping people. We got to help the people. We got to help people. What? I don't got to help no damn body. Who's going to help me? Who's going to help me? I'm going to play you some of the reaction from these people. And they have the audacity. Thank God for Donald Trump. Thank God he's cutting this shit. I'm going to play you some of the reactions from some of the people getting cut off.
Okay, so did y'all hear that Trump is planning on slashing housing programs and cutting funding for housing programs to end, just cutting Section 8 altogether? Okay, so I'm going to give you the rundown. I have it in my notes because it's a lot. Okay, so it says Trump's 2026 budget plan would cut section housing by 43%, affecting 2.3 million households. He's giving control to the states through block grants, which I don't understand how that will work. Yeah. Okay. So he's giving control to the states. And then also lastly, it says, so you know how when you get on Section 8, you can be on there for however long? Well, he is capping that at 2 years for able-bodied people. What that means is if you are able to work, right, there's nothing wrong with you physically to where like you don't have any issues at all, you can only be on Section 8 for 2 years. After your 2 years, you have to do what everybody else does. Okay.
It's like this tone of negativity. They're saying it like that's a bad thing. No, that's a good thing. Why do you want a bunch of people fighting as hard as they can to stay poor so they can stay on Section 8?
And then lastly, the most important thing that people were concerned about was homelessness, because there's over 2.3 million people. Yeah, that's the news today for Kate. Love y'all. Bye.
Was it most of the voters who voted for Trump on Section 8 and welfare? Y'all thought a billionaire was gonna only keep his hatred on blacks, browns, and illegals. And now your nana finna be outside because her welfare ain't gonna get covered the first of the year. But no, for real, the jokes write themselves. Congratulations, MAGA.
These people are so damn ignorant. Most of the people who voted for Trump were not on Section 8 and welfare. Where's that statistic? I mean, she looks decent, but she's a retarded bimbo. The jokes just write themselves. Well, listen, you don't see one conservative person complaining about this shit. They're the ones complaining, but they're trying to say we're the ones that are getting hurt by it. A hit dog is going to holler, period. A hit dog is going to holler, period. But they trying to, this is deflection. This is projection. Oh, see, man. No, it's her and her family members who are on Section 8. The people she know. That's why it's news to her. Who gives a damn about Section 8? I don't. I'm not on Section 8. I know good family members who are on Section 8 need to get kicked off. The only people complaining about this are these liberals, these people in these different communities where they have said, you know what, I'm just cool with being a loser as long as I get cheap rent. So when I get my check, I could go spend it on beer and weed. These people are dumb as hell. These people are ignorant. But it's MAGA. MAGA, y'all didn't know. You don't know what MAGA did or thinks. You just know what your ignorant ass think.
Congratulations. Is America great again?
Listen, this is going to have the perfect impact. It's going to have the impact that is needed to get many, and I'm going to speak on black people, but also this applies to white people as well. Many people who are sitting up, accepting this idea that they are just destined to be losers, destined to be less fortunate, destined to not have anything because they are stuck in the poverty trap, where instead of looking for ways to improve their lives, they are just looking for ways to keep from making enough money, making so much money that they end up losing their benefit.
And I heard the story, the testimony of one young lady said, I have been living in this public housing authority in this project since 1973. That means she has been living there since birth or shortly thereafter. And so because of that, her mother, probably her grandmother, raised her there. She's living there. Now she's raising her children there. And so that's the paradigm that we want to change. My parents, neither one of them went to college, but they both instilled in me a tremendous work ethic, and it has made our family stronger. And that's what we want here, not just at HUD, but from the administration, our country overall, is to have young people to see those coming before them, working hard, providing for them families, because if young people are incentivized to work, that will change our culture. It'll change our workforce. It'll increase earnings, increase family stability. And so that's what we're after here at HUD. That's what the president and our administration is after. And Maria, I believe that it is beneficial for the posterity of our country, the rehabilitation and the reconciliation of our families.
No doubt about it.
This is just a good thing all around. Look at the lady who Scott Turner talked to. She's been living in the projects since 1973. Since she was born, she's been living in the projects. So that means whether, let's think, if she had brothers and sisters, all that stuff, all these healthy people then been born into your family. And now you're here raising your children in the same government housing that you were born in. That is the problem. The problem is not generational poverty. The problem is generational welfare, where people are basically born into the welfare lifestyle. So they never really believe that they can do anything else. We've created a welfare culture in our country, a welfare lifestyle in our country, and it's time for it to end.